Today's guest on Ethno Forum is Hassan Al Kontar. Hassan, who recently became a Canadian citizen, was a Syrian refugee who had exiled from his home country after refusing to join the military in 2011. He made international headlines in 2018 after chronicling his experience being stuck in Kuala Lumpur International Airport for 7 months. Also known as the man at the airport, of which a self-written book is titled, we sat down and discussed his life, his journey as a refugee, and his experience being stranded at the airport, as well as his time in jail. We also discussed the current state of global immigration and some of the prevailing cultural attitudes towards refugees in general. Ladies and gentlemen, Hassan Al Kontar. Hassan, I appreciate you doing this once again. I read your book, and as we talked about before, and actually I'll get into a quick backstory. I know my mom initially had read your book and sent you a message, I think, on Instagram and said, I loved your book, and I think you had replied, well, you did reply, and so she sent me a message saying, this, you should read this guy's book, and he's here, and and everything. So I did, and one thing we both agreed upon is that it was like you can go from being in tears to laughing out loud in the same paragraph, and I've never, I think I told you, I've never experienced that in reading a book before, especially from someone who's a real person, let alone someone that we had kind of planned to do this podcast and stuff. But anyways. Well, why don't you introduce yourself and say, let's start from there.
Thank you for having me. And you are the second person to tell me that you made us smile and cry at the same time. I think the most dearest review to my heart is the closest one. Someone wrote that when you read the book, you feel that Hassan is speaking to you over a cup of coffee, which made it sound genuine, and that was the main purpose of the book. They call me the man from the airport, and I'm a Syrian refugee, a former Syrian refugee, and I have been here in Canada for the last almost 4 years now. I work with the Canadian Red Cross, and I'm the author of the book Man at the Airport. A dreamer, a fighter, which is not a good thing. People think it's a good thing, but it's not.
Can be, maybe.
They will get themselves killed because of what they believe in. But in my case, it was a fairy tale, and it had a happy ending. That's very much it. Yeah.
The crux of your story, and which was showcased on Vice News and as daily, and was very popularized even then became in Canadian media, international media. It was a very big story. What was this? How many years ago now?
2017, 2018. Yeah.
Okay. And so you were stuck at the Malaysian airport for how long?
7 months at the airport and 2 months in detention jail after that in Malaysia, yeah.
So 9 months essentially.
9 months.
Yeah. And
before that, 2 months in detention jail in United Arab Emirates.
That's correct. Right. So let's take it back to, the book starts at home in Syria and with your family and just talking about that. What do you miss about Syria now and kind of bring that into how it came to be that you decided to leave and the events that unfolded?
This is the hard part because the Syria I miss is no longer exists because of the war. It exists only in my memories. And I would like to keep it that way because in my mind it's the perfect place. A place full of love, safety, family principles, cousins, our olive farm, simple people, educated, cultured. Syria, the Syria I know is the one with the oldest inhabited city in the world, Damascus, the capital. 10,000 BC years of civilization, and where people never fought over religious or any political opinions. So that's the Syria I miss. In my mind, places is related to people, to faces. The Syria I miss is no longer exist because my father is no longer with us. He passed away in New Year's Eve in 2016, and I was in jail at that time. It's one of the hardest memories. The Syria I miss is the one where I used to be in school. No internet, no mobiles, just a simple life. The Christmas tree. The first time it snowed in the winter. I think it's more a dream now. But if I'm being realistic, I think it's our destiny as refugees or newcomers to live in between two worlds. It doesn't matter where you live, you are going to miss the other one. So I imagine even if I'm going to visit Syria now, I'm gonna miss Canada. I'm gonna miss Vancouver, the people here, the weather, the lakes. So, it's our destiny to be two separate personalities, which has some positive and negative marks. But I refuse to believe that Syria has changed the way I read in the news or watch, because it's not the Syria I once knew.
Well, what happened leading up to that for that to change for you, and then eventually leave?
As a Syrian, it's a peaceful country, but we were from the middle class, but it was not a place for a young youth full of dreams and energy to change the world or to make a better future. So it was a habit for us as Syrians, once you finish the university, to seek some opportunities outside of Syria in a third country where you can build a better future, where you can have some financial stability, where you can have your own adventure. The same way here in Canada, I used to live in Whistler, for example, and it's full of people from all over the world, young people, and who came just for a season or two to ski and an adventure. So I went to United Arab Emirates from that perspective. And because in Syria we have the mandatory military service, I did not want to waste 2 years of my life serving. So I left, and then a few years later, the Syrian war started. Before that, I left in 2006 until 2011. My career was booming at that time. At one point, I became an acting branch manager for a international insurance company. But then the Syrian war started, and my destiny is no longer at that point was under my control. Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, that you were required to go back?
Yes, because
of the war?
Yeah.
For service?
Unless you paid a certain amount of money, which is before the war it was something like $4,000, and after the war it becomes something like $8,000 to $9,000.
Right.
And it was not a matter of money at that time; it was a matter of principle. Am I going to finance the killing machine? I'm paying all that money to the regime where they will start buying bullets and guns. So it was always a matter of principle for me and for millions of Syrians. Do I need to be a part of the killing machine to kill my own brothers and sisters? Do I to destroy my own house, my neighbor house? So at that point, it was not my role in this life, and not the way my father raised me. We were there to build, to speak about peace and love, and we did not want to kill anyone or to be killed. So it was a matter of a moral, ethical matter, which I paid I paid the price for it, but I never thought that it's gonna be this kind of price, because when I took that decision in 2011 not to be a part of the war, not to send the money to the Syrian regime, I accidentally forbidden myself from seeing my family for the last 14 years. or to revisit Syria at least. I'm wanted there, and I will remain wanted as long as the current regime is there. So that's the ultimate price.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah.
So what happens when you're in the UAE, and do you get a letter? Are you told to leave the country to go back for the war? How does that happen? And
No,
how does the UAE find out that?
My passport expired, and in order to get a work permit, to renew my work permit, I needed a valid passport.
Right.
So when I went to the embassy, they said no, because you are wanted, because I was wanted for the military service. When I refused, they did not renew my passport, so I lost my work permit because I don't have a valid passport. And that's when it was mid of 2011, and that's the year when the Syrian war took place. From that point on, I become homeless, jobless, for several years. Then they just stopped me, the UAE police, and they discovered that I'm illegally legal immigrant, because I was not a refugee at that point.
Right.
Illegal worker, illegal immigrant. So they jailed me, and I had a fight with them a couple of times that you cannot send me back to Syria because it's a war zone, and you should know something about the international law, the humanitarian law. And I started threatening them. It was an empty threat, but they did not know that. So they sent me to Malaysia, because it's one of a few countries who accept Syrians within an arrival visa only for 3 months. So that's why I went to Malaysia in the first place.
Right. Before we get to Malaysia, I know I'm remembering now some of the aspects of you being in UAE.
11 years.
11 years. And how many of those were you?
The first time I went to Malaysia was 2006. Until 2011, I was legal.
Okay.
From 2011 until 2017, I was illegal.
In UAE?
So, yeah. So almost half of the time.
What is that like? I know you've talked about it in your book at length, but let's what is that like? Even you talk about, watching, and you said this in Malaysia as well, just going down the streets and people are able to go get a coffee and they're going about their normal routine and they're allowed to do that. And,
At the time of the crisis, any crisis, that's when you start questioning your belief system and all your decision in life, which led you to your current situation. Questions like why it's happening to me, and sometimes you will just raise your head to the sky like you are speaking to God, or call it whatever you want. And I'm watching all your friends, the ones you grew up with, you went to schools with, they are all doing well in their life. They are having roof above their heads, good jobs, except you. There was a time, and it was not a month or two, it went for a long period of time, where I slept in a car or a public garden or at mosques without having a proper shower for months, just cleaning myself in the mosque toilet. And it's a desert, 55 degree in the summer, and that's for some people, car is just a transportation tool. For me, it's an iron coven. It's something. That's why. That's when I stopped my interest and hobby in cars, actually, and I was no longer follow the racing and everything. It's the small incident, and which will make you feel that you are a total damage. You are damaged beyond repair, and you are totally almost given up, and there's something wrong happening with this life. There was a time when I sold my fishing gears, and I was into fishing because it was the only escaping plan to escape reality and be with the waves alone by myself, doing nothing, because I have no house or home to go back to. So I did not eat for days, and I had no money, so in 10 minutes I sold my fishing gear, and I felt my soul leaving my body, and that's because you can tell a lot about a man from their hobbies, right? And I just sold it. And the lies I was telling my family, just they have their own misery. They are in a war zone.
Yeah.
So I was lying to them to make them feel better, not to worry about me. But I was lying. And even at that time, my late father had cancer, and I was trying to lift up his morals and his spirit. But it was a hard time.
Yeah.
It was a hard time. And people now, whenever you say Dubai, they will think about the towers, the longest tower in the world, the bridges, the malls, the beaches. And it's true. It's very beautiful, but there's two faces for each and every city, and there's the real face, the one you can see in a police station detention, or the people who built these towers. For me, it's a modern slavery.
There was a story of you talking about being on the beach fishing.
Yeah.
And you met someone, or you ran into someone?
Yeah, he ran into me. He came. Yeah.
What was that story again?
Well, I was... now I'm wondering why I was doing that, because I was fishing in an area with a VIP. It's a VIP area where all the sheikh palaces and all the government officials and all the foreign ambassadors, the people who walk their dogs in the evening, they were living in that area with the security guards, and and I was like fishing there, and he came. What I was thinking, I think, the best plan for a thief is to hide himself in the roof of a police station, right? No one will look there. So I was fishing there, and he came, and that was the story. He came, and he knew that I'm from Syria. He went to the sheikh, and he told him about me, and the sheikh told him that why I'm fishing. They should give me some fish from their fridges. And then he answered the sheikh that he's not doing it for money or for food. He's doing it for fun.
Right.
Yeah, and it was a time when he told me something about our culture in Syria and how we know more about life, and but they don't in UAE. And I told him it's natural that you don't have you are in a conflict now because you jumped from the camel to Range Rover, and there's a gap between the two. You need to just adjust to that and understand it, accumulate to it. And that was the last time I saw him. So I judged him very hard, but I think at that point I learned a lesson not to judge people, because he was trying to be kind to me, but I was angry and upset from everything in life, and I was upset from the idea that he's going back to the palace, to his bedroom and a hot shower, a clean house where I will go back to my car and find a park to sleep the night. So I learned a lesson at that time.
Yeah. Take us then kind of towards near the end of your time in the UAE. Like how did you get caught? Let's say, or how did
there was indications, like I got stopped before that by police, and I walked away. I ran, and I made a trek. And I told them I don't have my ID, and I live in that building. So if you excuse me to bring you my ID, and I left, and I never. I never went back. But after that, I was giving up because I was tired from everything.
Yeah.
And my father was really sick at that time, and I did not know what to do. And I was feeling the end coming quickly, and it's nearby. And I did not care at that moment. That enough is enough. It's 6 years now, and I'm done hiding. I'm done running. I'm tired. I'm hungry. And
I mean, 6 years.
Acceptance, yeah.
Like that's like it's hard to
Yeah.
imagine, really. Like perhaps you can't even really particularly explain what goes through your mind near the end of that. But
What goes through my mind these days, I'm still trying to figure out the motive behind me keep going on.
yeah,
Why? I
you
don't
can't
know
put your
what.
finger on it.
No,
Yeah,
I always thought that there is something, and my friends used to laugh at me that even through during my darkest days in life, that there is something is gonna happen, but I did not know what that thing was, and I knew that it's coming. I did not know what it was or what's gonna be, but I knew that no, this is not the end. There is something, and it's gonna come and happen, but I did not know what it was. So when the police knocked at the window and stopped me at that, it was 1:00 in the morning, so I was barking and making myself ready to sleep. I just gave him my hands and said, well, I knew at that point that it's happening.
Right.
This is it, and I'm tired. But I think part of me, because of my family,
yeah,
they had no one, and I just wanted to do something to save them, or to do something better for them. Part of it that I was still full of life. I think a part of it also the knowledge, education. I was not done with life. I think it's love. So instead of being full of hate and anger of people who had no business, or the people who did not cause that, just being mad from humanity, it's not their mistake. I think it was the real me, the one who crack jokes once in a while, who mock life back, and I think that's what saved me.
Man, I can't even. I think I wrote down a couple of the jokes that you had done, and some of them are really good, especially in the face of prison guards or whoever it was that you're talking to. And well, one of them was when you're talking about your phone that you had. I know we're time jumping a bit, but it was the phone that you had when you were in the airport in Malaysia.
Yeah.
It was the Chinese-made phone. And near the end of the book, you're saying, at the beginning, you're like, it's the worst phone ever made, and then it was the one that worked.
I still have it.
Do you really?
It's still working. I think it's the best phone China ever made.
We'll get into that later, but there's just those moments. Okay, so when they knocked on your window, and did they arrest you then?
Yeah.
Okay.
There was at that time in that area there was some kind of crime.
Okay.
Someone stole something, I think, and they thought that it's me. Then what they have is the shoes print. So they tried to make me confess, and I had no idea what they are talking about. So I did not confess because they did not direct me to what should I confess about. And then they said they had no, it's not you. So it's just a matter of your credit card and your car loan and your immigration situation. But I did not have any document on me to prove who I am.
Right.
So it was my word. I was telling them my name is Hassan, and well, do you have any piece of paper, like anything to prove to us? Then I opened my email, and there was, I think, a copy from my passport, and that's when they said, well, okay, we will accept this. This is not okay, but we will accept it because we don't know what we are going to do with you.
Right.
It's difficult to find a country with such wealth.
Right.
Who has such judiciary or law enforcement, and that's why I'm never a fan of the authorities. And
yeah, well, I think it kind of goes back to what you were saying about the UAE. There's the two sides of it. There's the towers, and then there's the
There is a story which I wrote at the airport, but people still don't believe it, and I have no idea how to prove it, but it happened. They jailed me for 35 days, and that was in 2017.
Who was this?
The UAE.
Okay.
They jailed me for 35 days, and that was in 2017, because they claimed that I, in 2011, went to a restaurant or a coffee shop or something and bought a sandwich and never paid the bill. They could not find the restaurant name. They could not find their phone number. They could not find a receipt. I will never do that, by the way. And then because in the Arabic culture, we this is shameful. We have it's a matter of a personal pride, and that's I rather die out of hunger before, or I will be a man and walk into a restaurant and say, "Listen, I don't have money. Give me something to eat.
Right.
I don't need to steal." And then it was supposed to be the month jail is 23 days, right?
Okay.
They kept me for 35 days for this one.
For just this.
This one.
This.
And I was all the time asking them, can you please tell me what kind of sandwich? I just want to know what did I eat at that date, because it better be good. I was afraid from all the judging from my cellmates in the jail, because they are there for some big crimes and I was there for a sandwich. So it was hard to explain.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
In a holding cell, was this like jail? Like, were you?
It was a center jail. It was a center jail,
okay.
And yeah, they cut my hair as well, and that's when I became a criminal. And they gave me a jail card, and they put me in a place where all the prisoners are for financial crimes. So they were the cool guys. No big crimes now. It is a big financial crimes, but they are normally peaceful, fun people. They are just frauds, and So they took me in, and after 6 years of being in Iran, where you have no place to take a shower, where you don't have 3 times in a day to have meals, or to play cards, or to have some laughs with some friends or with some people, to have some cigarettes and a cup of coffee in the morning, it did not sound bad, ironically.
Yeah,
it did not sound bad. And at the time I left, my 35th day, we were so close friends. They gave me their phone numbers, their family's phone numbers, just to deliver some messages. They went all to the main gate to say goodbye to me and to keep in touch. And so, and I still wonder about some of them now.
Yeah.
Where have they become? Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. So then after those 35 days,
they sent me to the hell.
Yes.
To the immigration jail.
Right.
They kept me there for 2 months. And at the time, I said, I'm going to leave to Malaysia. They discovered on the system that I have a travel ban because of that sandwich.
Really?
And I need to go outside the jail to remove the travel ban manually by myself. So then I asked them, why you kept me for 2 months in jail? You should release me the second day.
Yeah.
And they said, we did not discover that, so we are sorry. Then I left, I removed the travel ban. Then I went to the jail again.
How did you remove the travel ban?
I went to the court, and they could not find any file. They kept telling me, come back after a week. It took 3 months from them to give me a piece of paper.
Wow.
Because it was not on computers before 2011 or something like that. And then
but surely it was probably, do you think they just made it up?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah. After 3 months, I just wanted to. I think there was a case, but they did not have and it was on the system And so it happens on some pending case, if it's a short period of time, they will just give it to someone so they could delete it from the system or close the case. So I'm there, they have me, and it's a matter of month. He can survive a month. Let's give him this and let's move on. So it was that was the issue.
Gotcha.
And then I went to the immigration jail again, and they promised that they will deport me as soon as possible. Yet they kept me for another 2 months in jail, and then they deported me to Malaysia.
Right.
Malaysia is not a part of what we call the 1952 Refugee Convention, which by United Nations and UNHCR, they are not a signatory, so you cannot seek asylum in Malaysia. They have their own local program, which is nothing, and it's a temporary one. So I could not seek asylum in Malaysia, and I could not find a work permit. As Syrian, there are no works for us there. Because I did not want to live what I already lived in UAE, I decided to leave. So I thought about Ecuador, because it's one also of a few countries who accept Syrians on arrival visa, and they are a signatory of the 1952 Refugee Convention. So I could seek asylum the minute I enter Ecuador. So I booked a ticket through Turkish Airlines, and I avoided all the Europe airports and all the Europe airlines because I knew that they will have issues with my nationality as Syrian. And it's what I call geographical racism. When people are speaking about racism, they speak about color, race, gender, religious. I think there's a fifth type, which is geographical racism, to be born in the wrong side of the world. So since the Syrian war started, we start avoiding all Europe airports and airlines because they will not allow us to board. Their excuse is that we may seek asylum the minute we landed in their airports, even if it's a transit stop.
Right.
So I avoided all of that, yet I could not board the plane because of the Turkish
one guy, right?
Yeah, the Turkish airline supervisor. A week after that, it was my last day in Malaysia. I needed to go out before I become illegal and wanted in Malaysia. I tried Cambodia. I arrived. They allowed me to board. I allowed into Cambodia, but they did not allow me to enter the country. A very corrupted country. They wanted half of what I was having, and at that time I was having $500. The policeman there wanted $250, so they can allow me in, and I knew I could not survive with $250 in Cambodia. So I said no. They sent me back, same plane, same day to Malaysia, and that's when I stuck at the airport.
Just doubling back to the guy, the Turkish Airlines representative. Remember you saying in that was probably the most in your book, the most emotional or angry maybe that you seemed.
Yeah.
At that moment, right?
I started shouting at that time, and I rarely do that. I was shouting all the time, and I think the way he ignored me, like I don't exist, what triggered me the most. The fact there was a guy who literally walked through me. He knocked his shoulder with my shoulder, and he was on a waiting list. They called him. They confirmed his seat while he was on a waiting list, and they did not allow me to board. The fact that they made me first through my bag because they said we cannot have bag, only one bag. So I threw my bag, all my personal belongings. Then after that, they still rejected, did not allow me to board. All these facts, the way he was looking at me, ignoring any eye contact, and with his hands gestures like I'm a second degree human or something less than that. And that's what triggered me. I think that's when I start understanding people with little authority, and that they are practicing it to prove to themselves first that they matters and they mean something. And that's what a form of abuse. And they are doing just to prove to themselves and to the people around them, and that they matters. Well,
Yeah.
they don't.
And then you mentioned that you had $500 going to Cambodia, but that you couldn't survive
It's
off
100.
250.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I'm going, how could you survive off of $500?
Well, at least I have 3 days or 4 days to eat and have a hotel. Then I will
Right.
start. I just wanted. I was running. It was
Yeah.
not a solution. It was
Yeah.
escaping plan.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to avoid being illegal again.
Mm-hmm.
So once I enter Cambodia, I'm safe for a month. Then I will start figuring something else.
Right.
But I need a place to enter first, a country to be in, before I become illegal in Malaysia. Or so that's what I wanted. There are two major moments I keep thinking about, and they never, they refuse to leave me. The second one is that one, the one in Cambodia, when the policeman, the immigration officer told me, was escorting me from the immigration counter in Cambodia back to the plane,
Right.
the Malaysian plane, to send me back. And I remember I laid my back to the wall and I collapsed, like I sat, and I start looking up to the sky and saying, now what? That's too much.
Yeah.
Because I knew at that moment that I'm in a deep problem, and there was no more other options or solutions, even escaping plans. That was it. That was one of the two incidents in my life I keep thinking of. So.
And so when you get back to Malaysia, what happens there?
After they escorted me in Cambodia, from that time on, I was no longer in control for my own passport. I did not have my passport with me any longer. It was with the Cambodian authorities, then the captain of the plane, then the Malaysian authority at that time. And because I was traveling on using Asia Air, I was their responsibility. So I convinced them that I'm Syrian. I need sometimes to work on a visa, and then I was trying to stall them to buy some time, so I could figure out a plan. I did not know at that time that I'm going to use social media, but I was trying to. I contacted everyone. All the embassies foreign embassies, Europe embassies in Kuala Lumpur, all the NGOs, UNHCR, all the United Nations humanitarian organization, even public figures, even presidents, ministers from the Arab world, or anything I could think of. I was emailing and texting and not texting, sending messages through social media, and no one answered. Well, some of the embassies in Kuala Lumpur answered, asking me to contact UNHCR.
Right.
And when I did, they came back with an answer after I kept insisting on them. They came back with an answer that, sorry, we cannot do anything for you. We are, as refugees, the purpose of their own existence. We are the reason that they exist, right? As refugees.
UNESCO, you're talking
UNHCR, the United Nations High Refugee Commissioner, they are a part of the United Nations. UNHCR, they are called. So we are the purpose. We are the right. When they come back to you with an answer that, sorry, we cannot do anything, then who can? And what's next? And that's when I decided, okay, I'm going down, but I'm not going down without a fight. I'm going to tell the story. I was installing, like, it was like Tom and Jerry with the immigration officers and the police. Yeah, it was. I was. There was some islands in the Caribbean. I think I think they are a part of the UK kingdom or whatever. So, Montserrat. Montserrat, I think it's called, and they accept an online visa, or you can at least apply online, and then they will come back to you. So I did that, and I saved a copy. I knew that they will reject my application because of my nationality, and because I did not pay the fees. I did not have a credit card or debit card at that time. But I used it as an excuse with the authorities in Malaysian airport. So whenever they come to wake me up in the morning just to investigate me, what happened with you when you are going to leave, I was showing them that application, that it's under process and it's going to be in a matter of a week. So, and I'm calling this, I'm calling that. So, and then the media happened in a matter of 48 to 72 hours. It spread like uncontrollably.
Was that like your first tweet?
No, not the first tweet. Day 33, I think. There was, if you Googled, it was 6 or 7 tweets and Instagram. I did not use I did not use Facebook because my family was on Facebook at that time, and I did not want them to know that I'm stuck at the airport. So I start using
they found out through
Twitter.
CNN, like.
Yeah, they found out through CNN. And then at day 34, I think, if you Googled my name, you will find three results. 2 of them were my tweets.
Okay.
At day 38, 27,000. So it took them by surprise, and they did not know what to do, the Malaysian authorities, anymore. So they kept a distance,
right,
to try and figure out what to do with me without damage their image internationally. So the media saved me after that. But during the first 30 days, I was trying just to come with excuses so they could give me more time. So something they regret down the line.
Yeah. You say like day 33, day 34. Were you keeping track of the days?
No, the Canadian lawyer who heard me on CBC reached out to CBC, and he said that I want to volunteer for this man, and so he became one of my Avengers team. And Andrew Brower, his name. He reached out to me and he said, because he was trying to figure out a solution with the Canadian government here, or to expedite my application, or to do something, he was trying to tell me, can you please cool it down a little bit? I'm trying to work here. And I said, if you think that I'm in control of the internet, you are sadly mistaken. It's copy-paste. I have no idea what's going on. So,
how did you get in touch? Like, how did your Avengers team assemble?
They heard me. They heard my story through one of the Syrian refugees in Turkey, who had an application to come to Canada at that time, and she told them my story. They reached out to me, and they said, what can we do for help? They did not offer me to come to Canada first. They said, what was your original plan? And I said, to go to Ecuador. And I said, okay, we'll try to help you out with that. I said, okay, fine. I knew at that time, because I contacted Ecuador embassy in Kuala Lumpur and the foreign affairs minister in Ecuador to try and help me. I knew that they will not succeed in their mission, but I wanted them to figure that out. I did not want to say anything. And at that time, I was having a lot of messages. I did not know which one is genuine, which one is real, and which one is fake. And you know the story that I know someone who knows someone. And I received the messages from UK that I know the secretary of this parliament member, and I'm going to speak to them. I know the Prime Minister of New Zealand. I know someone who works in her office. I will try there. So I did not know, and I was open to all because I wanted to get out of the airport. Yes, please do. I thought the Canadian, they were the same at the beginning.
Right.
And they said, we will try to call Ecuador or do something so we could get you into Ecuador. I said, okay. And they start their plan, and they knew that. They called after a week or so. They said, it's easier to bring you to Canada to get you into Ecuador. No one is able to help us with. And that's when they start the process.
Right.
And some people, if it was even through some Canadian media, they think that Canadian are naive, or they don't know what they are doing, or they have like a soft heart and a naive people who would like to help others, despite the fact that if they are checking their stories, if they are legit, if they are not.
Right.
They went through each and every detail, and they made sure that they got the story straight, and they knew what they were doing, and they examined everything. So when they were 100% sure that he's telling the truth, that's when they decided to start helping me. So I had an interview with CBC after that.
Mm-hmm.
It was my first Canadian interview.
Mm-hmm.
It was with Carol Off, As It Happens, the podcast, which is one of my favorite. She changed everything, and she's a very dear friend for me. And that's when the lawyer heard the story, and he reached out to me through CBC, through Carol Off.
Right.
Yeah, and that's when they start my application.
Right. Like at what point when were you sitting there like on your phone and you're going, holy shit, like this is blowing up, like this is going
every day.
Every day it got more.
Every day, but there was a time with the Nas Daily video.
Right.
That's when I knew that I turned off my phone.
Really?
Yeah. After 30 or 40 minutes of the video, I turned off my phone, and because I knew that they are coming. And before I do that, I texted
the immigration officer.
Yeah. I texted the lawyer, and I texted my friend in Malaysia, someone who became a brother, and I never met him in person. He heard my story through the news in Malaysia, and he started helping me out. He's originally from Sudan, and I still did not meet him yet, but we speak on a weekly basis. I texted him, and I texted the lawyer, and I said, it's gonna happen. They are gonna arrest me. I don't know when, but if I did not answer you, if I went offline for a long period of time, you should know that I'm in jail. A week after that, they jailed me. But at that night, for the next 24 or 48 hours, I got investigated 8 times from 8 different teams, 8 different departments. And they did not even allow me to sleep. And so at that, that's when I start turning off my phone, because I could not handle all the comments and all the messages. So
how did that come up with Nas Daily?
He heard the story, I think.
Was it because there was Vice News as well? Was that before?
Yeah, before. Yeah.
Before.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that first.
They were the first media TV crew to visit me at the airport. It was easy because they are clever. They had a Malaysian photographer, and he was dealing with the authority whenever the policemen, whenever they showed up. So they had the time to type me, like to record me.
Right.
After that, it was very difficult, and even there was an incident with NBC. They detained the crew. They erased all the videos.
Really?
Yeah, and they kept them for like 6 hours. And whenever anyone approached me after that, they will come. And they were, whenever I go, they are around me in a civil clothes. Right. But I know that, they are here. So.
And so the Nas Daily one came after. And I remember reading in your book that you guys were very careful about how to execute that process.
Yeah.
Right? That one of the videographers was flying in.
Yeah, because he has an Israeli citizenship.
Right.
He's not allowed in Malaysia. So someone who worked with him, he came. When I knew exactly who he was and what was going on, and we agreed on it. And then when the authorities started questioning me about it, and I have no idea. He told me he has a travel magazine. Who is he? And that's.
Had you heard about him before?
The guy?
Nas Daily.
No, that was the first time I hear. I was never a social media guy.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know influencers.
Yeah.
And even now I am falling to, I'm being the old guy again, and I'm barely posting anything now. So
yeah,
it was never a thing. Um, I knew exactly what was going on. I did not know at that time how big it's gonna be. I thought it's because at that point I had so many interviews, so many podcasts, so many media, our social media clips, and I had the big media outlet in the world, like CNN or New York Times, Washington Post, The Guardian. So I did not think much about it. I did not know how big it's gonna be. So
after they come and get you, after the Nas Daily video, because, well, just to preface this, as you say in your book, that there was some media going out and they weren't happy with you tweeting because it was bad PR for Malaysia, right? So this is why that they were monitoring you. And so the Nas Daily video was kind of the last straw, right?
There was some bad history between the two before my story. And that was the straw which broke the camel's back.
Right.
He used to live in I did not know that history at that time. But even if I knew, I would do it. So
yeah, right.
He used to be to live in Singapore at that time.
Okay.
He was speaking very well about Singapore, which they deserve, and not that good about Malaysia. And there is this historical sensitivity between the Singaporean and Malaysian. They are they don't like each other much, like a lot of neighbors, neighbors countries. So, and he's Israeli, an Arab, but an Israeli.
Okay.
So that also, Malaysian, they have some issues with the Israelis.
Right.
So all come together, and then they thought that he is using me to badmouth Malaysia again.
Right. Right. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah.
So I was in between.
Yeah.
Which was okay by me, because if you are seeking a different results, you need to step out of your comfort zone. Weirdly, the airport at that time, after 6 months, it became a comfort zone as well. The Canadian government is refusing to expedite my application, and they said if he is living at the airport, that's fine, he could live there, let him stay.
Right.
So it was taking its time, which was fine by me, because I know about priorities, and they have priorities, other priorities. But I needed to do something just to change the current situation at that time, because I need a shock. I did not know what it was at that time. It turned out to be Nas Daily, but I did not plan it that way. It was just another video for me.
Right.
But there was, again, indications from Malaysian authorities, some meetings with the authorities, with high ranks officers, some calls, some people who representing the Prime Minister coming and negotiating with me. And I know at that point that they are about to give up. So I knew at that time that I'm going to end up in jail. And I told all my friends and the Canadian friends and the lawyer that it's happening. I don't know when, but it's happening. Then the Nas Daily video came, and the shit hit the fan.
The shit hit the fan. So that's when they took you to, it was like a holding cell for
4 days, a police station for 4 days. Then they tried to find a crime. They could not find a crime. And that's when they transferred me to the immigration jail.
Is that when they took all your clothes, they took your glasses, or was that at the immigration jail?
That's after 4 days in immigration jail.
Okay, right.
And after that, 4 days after that, in immigration jail, they took my glasses.
Yeah. I remember someone took your flip-flops as well, and was that...
And someone stole it. I went to the court with bare feet. It's okay. With bare feet. Someone took it and was sick that
just
day.
Taking everything from
it. They brought this handcuffs, but it was not a normal handcuff. It was a chain.
Right.
A lot of people with the same handcuffs. So it was a chain of people with the same handcuff. I don't know what it is. I think it's an American. Anyway, so I saw it in a movie. That's why. So I was sick. I was trying, because they gave me a pair of shorts, which is extra large.
Right.
And I was I'm a slim type. So I was holding my shorts, and I was bare feet and sick and chained to a lot of people. It was out of this world.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
I remember because for me, when you said you went to the immigration jail and they took your glasses, like my eyes, I wear contacts and I'm like a -8. Like I can't see without.
I could not see a thing.
Yeah.
I could not see a thing for 2 months. And
is that standard for them?
Yeah.
Like to take glasses?
There's some people with the glasses in my jail.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were they trying to get to you a little more because of what happened in the airport?
I think so. But it was a different time for me, because when I went again to immigration, and I knew what to expect, because I have been in immigration jail before in a different country, but I knew what I was going to hear, the stories, the people I'm going to meet. And when I start seeing these people, poor people from different countries who sold all what they have just to seek a better opportunity, and they end up in jail, I felt I felt lucky. I felt grateful and thankful that there are people outside who's trying to take care of my family, who's working. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, where these people, they did absolutely nothing wrong except being born in the wrong side of the world. So it did not matter to me at that point, because I was somewhere else. It was very tough in Malaysia detention, because it was a 5 by 6 meter cell, and we were 40 people at one time.
Jeez.
For the first 20, you need to earn your space, and it come by seniority. You need to
amongst the prisoners.
Yeah. And so for the first 20 days, I could not have a place to sleep. So we were just rotating through the night, with no blanket, with no pillow, with nothing.
There's just no room to
just a floor, and you sleep. And you sleep with an open toilet and shower, cold water, and it was freezing there, light 24 hours, with no blanket, no pillow. So because humans are creative, we start trying to be creative. So whenever they bring us the tea, and they bring teas in plastic bags, we will empty the bag, we will clean it, we will fill it with water, and we will make it a pillow.
Right.
And that
would work?
For a couple of days before one of the for prisoners, the jailers, one of the jailers find out, then he will come inside, and we will turn them apart, make the whole cell wet for a night, and we will sleep freezing with water. So it was not direct physical abuse. It was not in a direct way, but
talk to me about some of the people that you met in there. I remember you talking specifically in your book about a young boy.
Yeah, the 12 years old from Rohingya.
Yes.
It's always the thoughts and ideas which will trigger my imagination, or which will make me feel people. It's not the people themselves, or their eyes, or what they are looking like. It's what they are imagining, what they are going through, and what they are thinking of. So I was putting myself in the shoes of 12 years old boy, and I was trying. I think it's the writer inside me to be careful about the details, to read the details. His eyes, the way he was looking, his orange T-shirt. He was working at the restaurant at that time, and the way he feel lost and tired from life. 12 years old, he was trying to make a living. 12 years old, instead of being in schools, and I was comparing at that time with my mind some boy, young youth in any Europe country who was taking a piano lessons in his age, or learning how to ski, and so that's the irony. And I think this boy, 12 years old, must be mad even from his own parents. Why to bring him into such world? So I never spoke to him directly, but I was making this dialogue between the two of us when I was just watching him.
Right.
Yeah, I knew that I know this. I know what he's going through. I know how he feels like. So I know what he's thinking of. And it was hard.
During all this time while you're going through this and in the immigration jail, there are people behind the scenes working to make sure that they're communicating with your family to keep them up, because you had no form of communication with anyone during that time. Maybe just talk a little bit about the people that, your Avengers team, as you call them.
Now it makes sense because I have been here for the last 4 years and I got used to Canadian and the way they sound, how they talk, what they think, the way they are so calm. And some of them are slow as well. And, so at the beginning, Andrew, and I keep calling him Sir, and he keeps telling me not to call him Sir, and I keep, because that's what my father would want me to do.
Mm-hmm.
So quiet, which will reflect confident. And he was so quiet, so peaceful, and so cool with whatever he's doing. So whenever I was having a temper or a moment where I'm worried, he will just, with his calm voice, assuring me that, don't worry, I got this. But now it makes sense because, this is how Canadian look like. They say thank you a lot. They say sorry, unnecessary sorry all the time. And they hug a lot, which I love.
They hug too much, you say?
I love that they hug too much. Yeah. But
not a whole lot. Not hugging isn't as common in Syria.
In Syria, there's no hugs in Syria.
No hugs?
It's handshake.
Really?
Now I don't handshake anymore.
Right.
Now I just throw myself on people. That's why COVID was so hard on me.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So there was a time where I hugged a tree in Whistler because I was living all alone.
Yeah, there you
go. He knew the system. He and even the other Avengers team, Laurie Cooper and Stephen Watt. It was not their first rodeo. They knew what they were doing. They have experience with refugees. They sponsored people before. They know what they were going on. So they were trying just to assure me that everything is going well. I think they were worried that I'm gonna mentally be sick or it's gonna affect me as a PTSD or something. So they were trying to fight on two fronts, one with me just to keep the hope, and the other one with the system here in Canada to try and expedite my application. So and they did a very good job with that.
And I remember you talking in the book as well that you were told, I think, by some of the jailers that you're meeting with a representative from the Canadian immigration office was supposed to happen the next day at 2 p.m. or something like that, and they never came.
It never happened, and I knew after that a month. It never happened, and I kept waiting every day at 2 o'clock. Maybe today is the day, and it never happened until a month later. Later on, I found out that it's prohibited by Canadian Constitution to have anyone with the immigration officer when he is inducting an interview for so it's against the law. It should be confidential. But the Malaysian government refused asking for a representative from their side to witness the Canadian government refused, so they were negotiating for almost a month. I think the Malaysian accepted at the end, but they bugged the room before doing that. So there was some microphones, and that's when they accepted, yes.
Right. And when that finally came through, the meeting...
Out of a sudden, they called me for an interview. It was not 2 o'clock, I think. It was 11 o'clock in the morning, and I had a meeting with him, and I did not want him to leave because it was fun to have someone to speak to, and then he left. 15 days after that, I had my medical exam because it's required by the law. They escorted me from jail, 4 officers, Malaysian officers, to the hospital for some blood test and pressure. And they made me, even the doctor, she was trying to measure my blood pressure and it was high. And she said, well, that's a lot. And I said, well, I would be worried if it's not.
No kidding. Yeah.
So, and then there was a doctor also at the hospital, and then I understood that he was trying to figure out if I'm insane and I may threat the safety of the plane, the one I'm going to use to travel to Canada. And I told him, no. Well, I am insane, but I'm not that insane, so I'm not going to cause any threat. Just sign the damn paper.
Yeah, no kidding.
And he did. 15 days after that, they escorted me from jail to the airport, and I came to the same night. In the morning, I was in Malaysian airport. Afternoon, I was in Thailand airport, Taipei, Taiwan airport, and I spent my night in Whistler, and that was not a bad place, though. And it was the first snowing day in that season. So
Really?
yeah.
I remember you also mentioned about talking to your parents on the phone. I think you called them from the airport in Malaysia. Is that right?
Yeah, my mother.
And you said,
Don't
cry.
cry. Because I did not speak to them for the last 2 months before that.
Right.
Because I was in jail and I had no access to phone. They were worried, so when I called, I told her, you should see me at the Malaysian airport because I was something who looks like running from the Middle Ages or something, like a lot of hair, a lot of beard, with a t-shirt and flip-flop, pushing his trolley with some clothes and some bags on it, escorted by 6 police officers, 2 in front, 2 to my side, and 2 in the back, taking me through a special road, and all the other. It was busy day at the terminal, and they were looking at me. Who is he?
The VIP from the Middle Ages.
Like a VIP people. Although my look, it was not that VIP.
So what are you thinking when you're on the plane? Like on the plane to Canada?
It was not happiness. It was admiration of what I did. Because during the last 6 or 9 months before that, people kept questioning my rational reasons behind it, whether I would be able to do it or not, if I will be succeeded or not. A lot of doubts, a lot of people who tried to convince me otherwise, and a lot of people who called me crazy pure sitting for 7 months on a chair at the airport. And at that moment I felt myself that I proved them all wrong. And I'm finally in a place where it's the dream for millions and millions around the world, and I have it now. So how it's gonna be? And I felt happy for my family because for the first time in ages I could sense a genuine happiness through their voices. And it was the little things always in life which will bring you the most joy. For those who used to live on the edge of life and dance to death for a period of time, the little things which will bring you joy the most in life. So I told the flight attendant to keep it coming, the coffee. I did not have a cup of coffee for 2 months. And when I touched down at Vancouver airport, it was all magical because it was Christmas time. And with all the lights, with all the snows, and I was there for a new life. So it was more a fairy tale story with all details, even the smallest one. And Yeah, it was that I finally found myself and got what I deserved in life, and how what it means not to give up. I was thinking about my late father a lot, and I imagined him at that plane, and uh, I did not know what to expect here in Canada, but it did not matter to me at that point because I have seen the worst of it, so I don't think it's gonna be any more difficult. So, but I was happy. I was tired.
Yeah, I bet.
I just wanted some peace and quietness.
Yeah.
Peace and quiet. And I came where I found some peace, quietness, and some sceneries and wildlife, which I would never imagine I would have, and things I never thought about, including skiing, for example, or friends from all over the world in Whistler. And then COVID happened. So, and I went back to that. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
For a year. Then I went back to the same isolation I used to live in.
Right. So. There was one thing I remembered when you were getting on the plane from, was it Malaysia to wherever after you were allowed to fly. Someone was sitting in your seat.
That was from Abu Dhabi to Malaysia.
Was it?
Yeah, and it was a similar situation
sorry.
because they released me from jail to the airport immediately in Abu Dhabi. So it was exactly the same. I have been escorted by police in more than one airport, so you are getting confused.
Yes. Okay, I'll do better next time.
Yeah, okay. The plane was empty, and he was on my seat with his wife.
Right.
And then, because I spent 2 months in jail in Abu Dhabi, the flight attendant said, "Look at this poor guy." Do you want me to cry?
Just give him the
She was beautiful though, so she's allowed.
Okay, fair enough. So, I guess just to get a perspective, from, I know everyone's situation is different, particularly coming to a new country, particularly for refugees. What was it like for you coming here? And looking for work and trying to fit in, and
I think what I went through, it changed me forever, and I start understanding life from a different perspective, where nothing will surprise me anymore, and I start understanding life differently, where it's always about priorities, but priorities could change with time. All what I was asking for when I was in jail in United Arab Emirates or Malaysia is a place where I can be permanently safe, where I can have a value as a human being, rights, basic rights, minimum rights, where I can have work, where I can be permanently legal, where I can call it home. And Canada provided me that all in one package.
Right.
So that was my priority at that time. Now it's not about, I have up and down moments like any other Canadian, and I know that we have a lot of mistakes. There's no perfect country. It only exists in books, but we are so damn close because I have been exposed to other countries, and I'm from a different culture, and I know both parts of the world. So I know what we have here, and I know what they have there. And I start working on myself to have the knowledge I need and to have the experience I need in the market here, in the work market, so I can promote and build a career. Whenever I have a down moment, I remember my previous life and how I used to live in a car. And now, what's the worst that could happen? I lost a job. I can find another one. It doesn't matter that much now because being in Canada made all the difference. So half of the story is being Syrian, but the other part, the other half is being Canadian, and without Canada, the story wouldn't be completed, and the book will not be there, because Canada made it, made the end, wrote the end for me, and I just put it in words. I think about the people who are still in refugee camps, and how many millions around the world who would love to be in my place now. When I think about that, how could I not be thankful or grateful? Is it hard sometimes? Yes. Especially for me, for the last 3 years. I'm living in hotels for the last 3 years all over BC, working with Red Cross. I'm losing the sense of belonging. Where is home? Does it matter anymore if I'm living in Vancouver or in Fort Nelson? It doesn't matter, because I'm not able to sense the belonging or to settle down and to have a place where I have my own kitchen. It is hard, but I'm also glad that I'm being back to the community who accepted me, who gave me and maybe my family a second chance in life. So no, you should know that this is a part of the world where we are not supposed to see back there in Syria, or this is a part of the world we read about in books or documentaries on National Geographic. And there was a time last year where I was, I think, the only Syrian or Arabs or a refugee in Fort Nelson there, and I saw moose for the first time. It's not supposed to happen. Even if you are living in Canada as a Syrian, we stick with big cities where we have community or a safety network or a support network. And I even refused all of that, and I started traveling to the small communities, and I love. I made some friends there, and I love everything about it. Is it hard? As I said, sometimes it is very hard. But I think I would take such a deal each and every day, and I will redo what I already did to get the same outcome as the one I have now.
You've seen the best of people and the worst of people in your experiences, and the best of, humanity and the worst, to be cliche about it. I thought about this too, because I read your book and I was on vacation, and it's, I was checking myself thinking, here I am, free to travel as a Canadian to most places, anywhere, and thinking, okay, here there's people dancing, and it's people are capable of doing beautiful things. Putting in perspective, reading your book, is that how lucky was I in that moment to experience that, because there are people all over the world that aren't.
Still, you don't need to feel guilty about it, because it's not your fault, and it's not their fault as well. So, but it's what we call life.
For sure, and I don't think it wasn't guilt that I felt, but I just was thinking about it because I was reading your book at the time, and it was just perspective and thinking. I was curious to know your perspective of
what I'm trying to do is to reach that all people understand that, because they don't know what they have, and they take it for granted. And so if we reach to a limit where we make people be aware of what they have. Sure, we speak about taxes, about our healthcare, about our education, about inflation, whatever it's called. Sure, we have a problem with that, and sure, it could be better, even with the gas prices these days. And so everything is hard, but we should also. There is also a second part of for the story, where there are people who faced coronavirus at its peak, the pandemic, without any access to any medical care, without having schools, living in tents, and and they did nothing wrong in their lives except being the result of war. or whole countries in Africa or Asia, or people who did absolutely nothing wrong in their life except being born in the wrong side. I'm not telling you that you should stop enjoying your life, because you could. The Canadian who helped me, they were going to ski. They ski. They travel through Europe. They go to Mexico. And there is a difference between having fun and joy in life. And once you start helping others, or at least feel about others, have the empathy, the sympathy, then you will start feeling a different type of joy in life, which is a meaningful one. And all what it needs. And I'm not asking you to save humanity. No one could, but everyone helps one. If you could even reach out to one of them and just introduce yourself, chat with them, and stop, because when they hear about Syrians, they jump into conclusion, a stereotype created by the media and social media. They are uneducated, dirty people living in tents. They want a shoulder to cry on. They are coming here to take our money, welfares, government support, social assistance. It's not. It's not the story. So make your own research and introduce yourself to what's going on in the world. That's all what it needs.
Where can we find you, or where can people find you, and where can they buy your book? Because it's a great book, and I think
thank you.
Yeah.
It's on my website, Man at the Airport, or they can go to my social media, Instagram or Twitter, and they can find the link to the website there, or Facebook, or they can reach out to me, and I can send them a copy. Well, not personally, but I will call the publisher to send them a copy.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, Hassan, I appreciate you doing this.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you
so much.
It was lovely.